Okay, now, first order of business before we watch this, make a list of every let's make a list of every industry plant I could think of in 2026. All right, here we go. Industry plant list. We're gonna make a list of every person I can think of that would fall into this category. First off, two instant no doubters. We have, well, mostly any mainstream pop artists, but let's go with Somber and Benson Boone. Okay, also we have The Weeknd. We have oh, we also have Post Malone after like 2020. We have Love Island, and just like reality TV shows in general. It's crazy. They literally forced so hard. What else? Industry plant, Kalshi, and Polymarket. Easy. Also, steak and gambling sites. I think that's valid. Maybe after the video I can add some more, but so far for industry plants we got Somber, Benson Boone, The Weeknd, Post Malone after 2020, Love Island or any reality TV, Kalshi, Polymarket, Steak, any gambling sites, Macklemore, Timothy Chalamet, especially 2025 to 26, Pedro Pascal, current Mr. Beast, Jenny, Cat's Eye, Billie Eilish, and Heated Rapper. Some of these I feel like I shouldn't know just because it's embarrassing, but like, alright, that's what we have so far. Now let's watch the video.
When most people think of the dead internet theory, they think of bots and AI, which is definitely a problem, but it isn't the only one. You may still think
Who here in
that you, the
2026?
human, are ultimately the one responsible for a lot of what your
Put it in the
algorithm
comments
serves
if you're
you
here in
up. Whether that be
2026.
a new artist you see your fellow music fans talking about, or a new content creator you see on your TikTok feed, or even the discourse around a certain subject.
Oh,
But what if a
hold on, go back.
new content creator you see on your TikTok feed,
I saw at
or
least
even
one.
the discourse around a
Michael Carbonaro? Is that not Michael Carbonaro from Carbonaro Effect? Bobby Altoff, or however you say it,
subject?
is. So is Alex Earl.
But what if I told you companies, corporations, and people with an agenda have figured out how to hijack and game the algorithm in a way that artificially promotes
Yep.
whoever is paying
Two Hollises. Some of these. Who even are
the
these
top
people?
dollar? And a lot of creators, musicians, and people you constantly see in your
Yes.
feed, even the opinions about
Mumford
these
and
people
Sons.
that you
They've
see
been around since
are
like
all fake. None
forever.
of it is real, none of it is organic. But what am I even talking about? Recently, I've seen rumblings in the music
Doechii,
industry
I
around
think,
artists
could
being
be.
industry plants or psyops. A more specific example is the rise of the band Geese, an indie band from Brooklyn who've
Who
been
is
getting
Geese?
a ton of buzz lately. The group has performed on SNL, Tiny Desk, Coachella, Primavera Sound, and a massive
That's
sold
like the big three of launching industry plans. Tiny Desk, that goes viral. SNL, I don't even understand why that is popular. And Coachella.
North American and European tour following
That's
their
how the
highly
industry
praised
hard launches
2025 album,
whoever they
Getting
want.
Killed. They were first formed in 2016, but they have had nowhere near this massive amount of success that they've been having lately, which is a major part of what makes their rise so interesting. How
Ladies
has
and
Geese
gentlemen,
gone from a relatively
Jimmy
unknown
Kimmel.
band to, in the
And
past
this is
year,
Geese.
getting on SNL,
That's
performing
definitely
at
what he said.
Coachella, The Guardian calling them the new saviors of rock and roll, and much more. Well,
These
the
guys do not
timeline
look
for their
like
recent
they're
rise
rock and
starts
roll.
in late 2025 and early 2026, when tons of music fans started noticing
Should I
Geese
listen to Geese,
popping
or is
up.
that going to
But
be
it wasn't
copyright?
just here and there. It seemed like they were getting pushed by algorithms at an unnatural rate. Personally, I kept seeing them everywhere, and I was like, why does everyone already know this band? What am I missing out on? You know, clips on started to like what they were hearing. Then a couple months into the year, the first bomb was dropped. Musician and writer Eliza McLam uploaded a Substack article titled Fake Fans, in which she exposed a strange connection. It was between Geese and their frontman Cameron Winter and the digital marketing firm Chaotic Good Projects, whose entire goal was to market Geese, amongst others, in a rather unconventional way. Chaotic Good's game plan included the innovative use of social media networks to create a wave of artificial fandom appearing as real fans. They
They
used Geese
view-butted
subreddits to back
fans?
social posts, shared live footage of the band performing, both of which are pretty normal. These are things you'll see quite often
That's
in the
actually.
music industry.
Is this
But what
real?
was interesting to me was that they also used burner accounts to swirl fan discourse. I found a spreadsheet with a list of alleged fan page accounts used
Rich,
to
young,
promote artists
skinny. Life could be so sin. Getting evicted.
or create narratives, and I don't know how many of these are actually from Chaotic
Corny
Good, but they are
boys.
probably similar
What
to what
are
a lot
they
of these
even?
fake accounts look like. A lot of these TikTok pages were also deleted, maybe to try to keep the operation under wraps. They
Yeah.
aren't doing a really great job though, because I found a
100
Threads
people
post
think
where
your
they
song
said, if 100
sucks.
people think your song sucks,
That's
Chaotic
crazy.
Good will create 200 people who think your song is awesome.
Who
They
got that
also had
exposed?
something on their website that they took down called narrative campaigns, which I can imagine
Okay. Something about this looks like it calls for like a conspiracy theory. What could possibly be the symbolism between 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18?
is them
21
having these
eyes?
fan
Is
pages
that like
create
a-
discussions
that
or
seems like a
narratives in
symbolic
favor of the
thingy.
artists that are hiring them. This is interesting to me too, because as I've covered before on this channel, studies show that if you're exposed to music enough, like a specific song, or if you perceive something as popular, you are more likely to enjoy that. Not because it's better, but because you just hear it more, so it's like more familiar with you. So through the distribution of clips and others online, seeing this in our
Imagine making it. Yeah, no, you could tell this is fake. Why do I have captions on? Sorry, anybody that's deaf, but I don't want captions on. The best voice I've ever heard. Audience was speechless, and then zipped mouth emoji.
organic discourse about geese.
That
Views
has
were
to be the most
generated,
fake
and with views
marketing
came a
thing
notable
ever.
and growing buzz, forcing the algorithm to treat this sensation as organic, and so it did. Then suddenly the fake audiences, fake discourse, and fake narratives became real. These people are
Geese.
essentially proving that it's pay to win when it comes to social media, which isn't really fair since most people with music careers can't afford to run these types of campaigns and get their name out there because everything is so expensive. And that's why today's video is brought to you by Current. a
No
mobile
thanks.
used, but I feel like that aptly describes this. And it maybe sounds like something you'd hide if you were Chaotic Good, but surprisingly they didn't. Instead, Chaotic Good went on a media run where they bragged about the successful and aggressive form of marketing they were doing.
What we've done at Chaotic Good is kind of really think through what it means for like a
Billboard
algorithm,
interview
and that really,
for an
really
indie
changes
band?
what your approach should be. So it's a lot more volume.
Is that
It's
normal?
a lot more thinking about niches, and it's a lot more kind of like hand-to-hand combat. We are kind of studying the internet.
Also, I don't want to
to
hyper focus on
seeing
this
what's
geese
working
band.
organically
Nobody's ever
and
heard of them.
trying to recreate it at scale inorganically. We use the term trend simulation. Sometimes artists get lucky, they post a song and it goes viral. And so what we're doing is going and looking and studying what actually happened. Then when we have a song that isn't naturally going viral, we apply that to it. And so we say we're kind of simulating a trend.
But it didn't end there. Chaotic Good went
I mean,
as far
that's
as
smart,
to list
but
their clients on their website, a list full of fast-growing names that wouldn't be public for too long. There were a few
Really?
names that I was surprised to see. Artists such as Two Hollis, who I'm a pretty big fan of, Tiffany Day, who I've been seeing everywhere lately, and Mumford & Sons, which is especially strange to me. That's because Mumford & Sons has been popular for a while, but
Yeah.
since 2009 they've been experiencing a relative down period compared to their peak until recently. It's hard to trace when exactly
That's
the band
true.
began to work with Chaotic Good, but it wouldn't be surprising if they've been working with
Chaotic-
them
I
for
wonder
a
if
while.
Chaotic Good
Similar to
works with,
Mumford & Sons, not a ton of info is
streamers.
available about when the other two artists started working with them,
Maybe
but
they could
some
get me out
fans
there.
on Reddit, as early as 2024, began to notice that Two Hollis was growing in a strange way. One user said,
That's just because he's literally like Skrillex's
"Anyone notice
nephew
how
or
before the
something.
release of Boy It Was Really Quiet, and now TikTok/Reels is filled with content on him? A lot of the pages have few videos and randomly one video about Two Hollows with a lot more views than the others.
But
Notice
yeah,
how
I
all these
think
official fan
this could
pages
be
show up.
also
What
an
the
industry
f- is an
plan.
official fan page? Something ran by management? Notice how Nate Sib is following the same scheme, but with lower
Nate
intensity.
Sib.
I swear I'm not schizo, I just know that I've never seen such a spike in growth in such a short time. However, to be fair, Chaotic Good was formed in 2025, so maybe he was using just a similar strategy.
Or maybe
independently or
Nate
with
Sib
another
isn't
company. In Tiffany Day's
one
case,
person
it's
away
believed
from
that she joined in
Skrillex.
2026, and since then she's faced some backlash for the team up.
Who's Tiffany
Obviously, there's
Day?
some simple explanations for why these
Have I heard of
artists
Tiffany
are
Day?
trending upwards right now, and it's usually because they drop some new music, and the music is good, it's doing well commercially, but the focus of this is how these albums, artists, and songs are becoming so popular in the first place. All three of these artists have had recent spikes in popularity within the last year, and have all partnered with Chaotic Good. Correlation isn't quite causation, but it's definitely interesting to note.
I don't think I've seen anybody from my list so far.
Personally, I've seen Tiffany Day across my YouTube
my list
recommended
is
and
still
TikTok quite a
valid.
bit lately. Then to Mumford & Sons, well, they've been popular and are far from my algorithm, so I don't typically see them unless it's a hate video or a meme video with one of their songs, which
Millennial
who
Burger.
knows, even that could be coordinated.
That is
It's
factual.
possible that Chaotic Good is making coworker music posts about Mumford & Sons to farm streams from all the hate. However, the Geese story is what brought a ton of attention to Chaotic Good. And after the original expose article was dropped, the Geese story started gaining some serious traction. And because of the backlash that came with it, only a day later Chaotic Good started covering their trail. They removed all of the information about their narrative campaigns and also deleted the client list they had available. Everything just says to contact them for more info, which is definitely strange. But despite Chaotic Good's cover-up efforts, the cat was out of the bag, and
You're telling me this is a rock and roll band? Look at this dude. Looks like he's gonna cry because he's forced to play
a
guitar.
bunch of people began to write about this. Eventually, a Wired article
And where's the
dropped
drummer?
which made the
There's no
rumors
person at the
transition
drums.
into official headlines and a growing problem for Chaotic Good and its artists. Basically, everyone was feeling like a lot of their big favorite artists were psyops, which is definitely not a good look. And like I said, Geese is just a recent example, but that list had artists like McG or MKG, still not sure how to say it, OK Lou, Dijon, Netspend, Alden, Snow Strippers, Jane Remover, and more. Many of these artists I named specifically, I've seen a lot of buzz or discourse or general conversation around. Also, you may notice the guy who posted this picture of the list included a price sheet
25K
that
to
says like
15K.
15K per
Oh,
300
2.5K.
post kickoff across our internal account network, with that
$15,000 for 300 posts?
being their highest price package, which is really interesting. I don't know if
What?
that's legit though. And I'm not going to dive deep into every single artist for this video, but Hollis, Tiffany, and Mumford & Sons were pretty interesting to me. With the story going so viral, fans began realizing that there was some new deep level marketing being used in the music industry. And if we're being realistic, it's probably being used in every industry. And this doesn't mean that the artists or products being pushed by these campaigns are inherently bad. It just proves that their methods of getting big, which to be fair probably wasn't even their direct decision, is a little bit deceitful. But Chaotic Good is far from the only company doing this, and artists
do
like
do it
Drake,
for-
Baby No Money, Black Sabbath, and more have all been utilizing some form of short-form clipping campaign.
Who is
And while
Caleb
Chaotic
Hammer?
Good
I've
may
heard
be
of him.
doing some really weird stuff with their
They
fan
do something
page
weird?
and narrative campaigns. They're all in the same vein as the general clip campaign that a lot of people in the music industry are using. For example, Baby No Money
Oh.
PR stunt.
This is one. I can't even let this sit. I have to add this. Oh gosh, nope. No, thank you. That is straight out of the
Where
factory.
he said he was quitting music, and then like a month later came back with the song "Diamonds Are Forever," which was posted by a ton of TikTok pages.
I don't know if I've heard
This
worse
is
music
pretty
than this
obvious
guy.
when you scroll through the sound that a lot of these posts about him being back are very formulaic and clearly coordinated. And his manager flat out admitted that they ran a clip campaign. His manager said, "I don't know anybody not utilizing clipping who's actually competitive in the marketplace." The instructions for Baby No Money's campaign are as follows: memes are not allowed, must tag Baby No Money in the caption, on-screen text that covers at least a third of the screen. A major place these clip campaigns take place is on a platform called WAP, where Mumford & Sons, Harry Styles, Brandy Carlisle, and many more have had clipping
Is Harry
campaigns.
Styles?
WAP CEO
on?
said, "I remember seeing Drake on the platform, Lil Tecca on the platform. It's probably the most effective way to explode your upcoming album, because what are the alternatives? You can get a billboard, or you can post yourself and do a couple sponsored posts, but then you
How much
get
is a
lost
billboard?
in the algorithms almost immediately. So the
On a
only way
billboard?
to persist the relevancy is by having an army of thousands and thousands of people." Peter Thiel is also an investor in WAP, so
Of
it's
course.
all connected somehow.
Of
There's also
course.
other agencies too, though, like Clipping Culture, that's worked with Lady Gaga, Selena Gomez, and the Rolling Stones. Clipping as a marketing strategy itself is also not regulated by the FTC, since it isn't technically a paid partnership, or at least it's not treated as such yet, so it looks much more organic. It looks like a fan who's just posting a clip, but in
$1.25
reality,
per
it is
1,000
paid.
views.
A good way that sums up the clipping economy is, as the WAP CEO said, "I view clipping as act one of what this new internet economy looks like, where you have all these people doing micro jobs for cash and being part of a bigger movement in business." But what even is clipping? How does it work? And surely it's not something that's only in the music industry. Well, this actually happens across the entire entertainment industry and was most likely born from streaming. I found a very good article from Leo Morajon that said content clipping is cutting short clips from longer video or audio, then distributing them across social platforms. That part is not new. What changed is that it has become industrialized. There are now companies, platforms, and freelance networks that exist specifically to do this at scale on behalf of brands and creators paying for it. There are plenty of examples of this in streaming, and I think the biggest example is Clavicular. As a content creator myself, I remember when Clavicular
Literally.
was blowing up, and I heard some people in the
And
industry
it's not like TikTok isn't helping this. Like, TikTok is pushing these
we were
clips.
talking about him
That's the
running
worst
clip
part.
campaign, and that's when I was first made aware
like
of
they
his
want people
strategy. And
to
it's especially interesting
especially
because in
see
the
him.
recent months he's been amassing billions of views across multiple platforms, and that's not just from his personal accounts. That's where the horde of freelance clippers come into play. In March of 2026, Clav's clips got over 2.2 billion views from 69,000 videos posted by an army of
2 billion
1,600 clippers.
views.
But Clavicular himself is not the one organizing it because he's not the marketing genius. There's actually an organization or marketing firm, similar but not the same to Chaotic Good, known as Clipping. Ironically, they also chose to keep the playbook open to the world, sort
They
of,
already
as
run
they have
someone
released
over.
the numbers themselves. And on top of that, they're even dropping TikTok edit type trailers for their platform. The organization, started by 23-year-old Anthony Fujiwara, has been killing it and expanding in ways. Anthony started out at 16 with a cracked version of Premiere where he would clip together things like Fortnite compilations. Then, when he realized gameplay wasn't enough to hold attention, he ventured on into the world of content. Ironically, he reached out to me in like 2024 about doing a clip campaign. He didn't call it that back then. I don't think that was a thing yet. But I personally wasn't really interested in TikTok or Instagram Reels or anything like that, so I like the longer videos. Regardless though, since I've talked to him, he's clearly been crushing it. I had no idea he was behind this company. And there's not much competition in the way of Clipping.exe. Clipping Clips podcasts, Netflix specials, is partnered with a variety of some of the biggest streamers and has had
Who are
deals with
some of
major
those people,
brands like DoorDash. But this obviously wasn't just
There's a
method
clipping
used in
campaign for
Clavicular.
DoorDash?
All of the top streamers get billions of views doing it. And to understand how they do it, I'm going to break the model down with some of the biggest streamers. First is one who's kind of been blowing up all of a sudden, and that's Nina Drama. Ever since the UFC embraced her, she's seemingly blown up onto the scene. Before her massive internet appearance, Nina worked as a model, but once she shifted into the MMA content, her views skyrocketed. You've probably seen clips of her collaborating with some of the biggest fighters and
Yeah.
streamers over the
Who
past
actually
few
watches
months
these
and
clips
years.
for
But
fun
none of this
though?
is by accident. It was all by design to create as many clippable moments as possible. In March, to my surprise, she's ranked number 2 behind Clav in views with 882 million views, 22,000 clips, and 932 clippers. After her came Jim Skin with 812 million
Really?
views,
That's all the
30,000
Instagram clips.
787
The
clippers.
shoulders.
Then you have Aiden Ross in 4th and Neon close behind him. Both of which with views in the hundreds of millions, clips in the tens of thousands,
Okay. Is this only kick streamers? Because
and clippers in the high
this should not
hundreds.
count.
So as you can see, this is quite the massive
This shows Kick.
effort. It's no
Kick itself, the streaming company, is an industry plant.
longer the YouTuber that has a second channel with
Couldn't
clips
wait to add that
his
one
editor
either.
runs. It's a full-scale economy, and that economy has employers, employees, and massive systems in place. A popular funnel many of these clippers go through is on Discord servers, many of which are directly organized by clipping. Almost every campaign starts out with one creator, brand, or something of the sort to focus on. For example, they don't just push clips for streamers. Sometimes they'll run campaigns for clippers to use specific songs from an artist like Ice Spice's Thootie, which must not be working out too well.
Thootie.
I've never heard that song.
I've
Or just
never heard
Lori
that song
Lonely's
either.
song Jumanji, or Lil Yachty's Concrete Boys Collective. They've also run campaigns with people like Shaq and Blueface, both of which I see often on TikTok or Reels. Once the focus is selected, then comes the content flood on a variety of
Think about the people that are entertained by this stuff, like Blueface and that stuff. The world is actually 50 years away from being over.
platforms, depending on specific goals of the campaign. Typically, the content
People's
is a
brains,
15 to 30
people are going to
second
be
video
born with parents that don't have brains, and then their brains will go from having wrinkles to literally being a ball of pudding.
cut from the original stream, podcast, or whatever else it may be. The key to this is that the clipper selects the clip that they find interesting and think has viral potential, because you get paid based on how many views you get. So all sorts of clips are being posted constantly, and that's why you'll often see the same clips over and over again, because they're proven to work and go viral. So other clippers will just be like, oh, I'll just repost the same one, it seems to work. Then there's different ways they get paid. Sometimes they get a CPM deal, so for every 1,000 views you get on a clip, you may get a few bucks on the high end, and with a viral clip that could be a lot of money. Sometimes they'll pay you a flat rate per views or clips posted. Sometimes you don't get paid, but you can keep the revenue from the clips if you get monetized. Or sometimes it's all of the above, sometimes it's none of the above. There are all sorts of ways to incentivize people to clip, as I'm sure you guys can imagine, and as you probably
How
saw
do you
on
not get
screen.
scammed
And many
from
of these
that, though?
postings also come with required view floors to get paid out. So overall, these programs tend to be very well put together by a highly skilled team. Clipping isn't the only group that does this, but they're the only one that does it at such a proficient scale and high level. A lot of times creators will individually set up their own clip campaigns whether or not they know it. I've seen Tommy G, Brandon Buckingham, Good Griefs, the funny TikTok guy, and other YouTubers doing it as well. And I'm not saying they're bad for doing it either. I just think it gets a little more corporate and commodified when companies like Clipping get involved. That starts to make things feel very inorganic. What makes this especially unique is that oftentimes a lot of these clippers are coming from traditionally poorer countries, and that's not by accident either, as just like with manufacturing, clipping targets people from parts of the world so that they can pay lower rates. Anyway, a YouTuber named
I never
Devin
thought
Nash
about
did a
that.
deep
That's crazy too.
investigation into clipping and their campaigns, and he revealed there was a lot of money involved in this.
Where even like in a crazy number, where like 70% of the views are free, which I think it's probably closer to like 20% or 30%. The math on it is it would cost $666,371 a month, even at $1 CPM, just to run Clav's campaign alone, not even considering all of these other people.
So this means every month hundreds of thousands and even millions of dollars are being spent to push these content creator campaigns. And this is just the budget for the streamers that Clipping has disclosed. The entire industry is probably spending hundreds of millions, if not billions. That's some pretty big marketing spend right there. Which makes you wonder, are the people themselves who are being clipped the ones paying for this? Well, Clavicular himself actually said that Kicked has helped him finance a lot of the campaigns.
Why do you think
Kick is so
you're the
trash.
fastest growing creator in the world right now?
I think Kick has helped push me a lot with their clipping budget. So, you know, over 6 figures a month, and in that campaign have been going towards pushing me out there to new audiences, because on Kick, there's not really a lot of growth, right? There's not as many users as Twitch, so people aren't organically coming across your streams. So they kind of have to incentivize people to stream on that platform in other ways. And one of the ways I go about it is with the Kick clipping program, where there's like a, you know, $20 or $30 CPM, and that kind of incentivizes people.
Which would make sense since you see their logo on tons of clips. This method may cost millions of dollars, but they don't just do it because they love their creators. Of course, it's funneling
Worst
viewers back to their
clip
platform
ever.
as well. Devin Nash, the guy
I saw that clip and I didn't feel a single emotion. But there's people that watch that clip and laugh.
earlier got into one of these
What?
invite-only campaigns and exposed some of their instructions.
I mean, we can't possibly know what goes on there because they're invite only, and no one would ever invite me. Or would they? Okay, so please use the examples below to make sure the Kick logo and watermark placement is correct on all clips. The Kick overlay should always be clearly visible and placed so that it can be properly seen at all times. Every one of these multiple billions of views has that Kick logo square right into the right in the bottom for the entire duration of the video, and every one of the clippers is doing that.
I'll make sure to link his video below if you guys are interested. It's really good. So like I said earlier, another major reason Kick is doing this is to not just grow their creators, but their brand as well. However, there's other ways that people finance these campaigns. With musicians, it can be their record label, or on a smaller scale, it can just be a YouTuber paying out of pocket. These clip campaigns function very similar to the fan page campaigns we saw with Chaotic Good. That's why you'll often see a viral clip from some random account that says SpeedFan5295. Regardless, the reason that every name I've probably said in this video, especially if you're younger and you doom scroll a lot, sounds familiar to you, or
I thought this was going to be more about mainstream
is because of
industry
clip
plans, not
campaigns, fan page
Kick
campaigns,
streamers.
narrative campaigns, and everything in between. As the Leo guy I mentioned earlier said, volume is the whole point. The goal is to get a clip on as many feeds as possible. With thousands of clips circulating about an artist, streamer, or celebrity, one of them is bound to go viral with more to follow. The reason this is so interesting yet feels kind of wrong to me is because it feels very deceitful. When you're scrolling, you've learned how to identify ads, partnerships, or paid promo on your feed, but you probably aren't expecting an opinion on your favorite niche artist to be fake. You probably aren't
Cloud
expecting
Rock.
someone's background song choice in their fun little video to be fake, and you probably aren't expecting the people posting on half of your feed to be fake themselves. The problem is that clipping, and especially the way Chaotic Good was utilizing clipping, feel very deceitful. It all feels forced and organic, especially as it has been growing as a
Oregon.
own industry the past few years.
I think
Now,
we
I
mean
don't personally
inorganic.
have anything against clipping or clippers or Anthony Fuji for starting clipping.exe, but because of how fresh this is and how big it's becoming, it's a very unexpected form of marketing that's a little hard to pick up on sometimes and can leave you feeling a little uneasy. It just makes everything feel a lot less organic. Objectively, with the amount of volume that these big streamers, musicians, and celebrities are able to put out thanks to how much money they already make, it makes it all that much more difficult for other regular people to compete. And I think Devin Nash put it well when he said,
You have 70,000 clips, you go anywhere you want. It's just not going to make a difference what your content is. And that kind of fundamentally undermines like the whole purpose of like what content creation was kind of is. Like content creation was kind of a voting system. It was kind of like, oh, like we think this guy like Mark Rober is interesting, so we're gonna like watch his video, and then that video, and then everyone's like, yay, that video is gonna do well, and then Mark Rober's like, wow, I got rewarded for that, I'll make more videos, and like so the cycle goes. But now the algorithm will just
Is it even popular? Or is it even possible to get popular from streaming anymore without paying people to millions of
pick
dollars
up
to clip
anybody, no matter
with
how
millions of dollars you
uninteresting
don't
or how
have?
boring at this volume.
Like, are
And
people
it's just
going
gonna
into
push it no
debt to
matter
get
what, because
clippers?
It's taught that the sheer volume of posts about the same thing equals that's important.
'Cause there's
This
no
is where we
way-
get into kind of the dark
I don't even know.
side of the issue.
It's actually
Like,
complicated
you
now.
are not
You can't
even
just
choosing the
make
content that
videos for fun.
you watch anymore. The algorithm by volume and these paid clipping campaigns are quite literally choosing it for you.
I think you can sort of control your
You got people watching Rakai for fun. Like, what? How are you supposed to compete with that? He literally does
to a
nothing.
degree, but for the most part, I agree with Devin in the fact that due to sheer volume, the people paying the most clippers or fan page campaigners will inevitably pop up on your feed. The problem with this is that this feels like something you'd expect like the US government to do. Like, I'm already assuming that a lot of political accounts I see are fake and they're just spreading propaganda or whatever. Like during the peak of COVID, the US military launched a PSYOP aimed at discrediting China's Sinovac vaccine in countries like the Middle East, Central Asia, and the Philippines. An investigation by Reuters confirmed that they used hundreds of fake social media accounts to plant rumors that Chinese vaccines were inferior or contained pork gelatin. The Pentagon actually
What?
acknowledged this
Really?
and shut down the program following the investigation. Or in 2005, there was the Devil Eyes project that was used to undermine Osama bin Laden's influence among youth in the Middle East. In this one, the CIA got a guy who made G.I. Joe action figures to make action figures of bin Laden with a face that would dissolve in heat, and when the outer layer melted, it revealed a scary red-faced demon with green eyes. The CIA confirmed the existence of these prototypes after the project was scrapped.
Okay, but
These are the crazy weird things I expect to get
who's that
psyoped
for?
by. Not baby no money marketing campaigns or discussions on how good Two Hollis is. So the whole
Or
reason I'm
SXO
making this
Red.
video is because I have noticed this trend lately a lot in my feed, and it's just really interesting to me how strange and somewhat corporate the internet has become. In one way, it's kind of interesting to see how things have evolved, but
This is
on
actually
the
making
other
me
hand,
wonder.
on
I
a
don't
much
think it's
bigger
even
hand,
possible
it just
to
feels off, and
just
it's a little disappointing.
organically
In large
grow.
part, this works because of how algorithms have been optimized to
Like,
oblivion and
what?
how the internet as a whole
Is
has
that Luke
honestly been
Belmar?
getting worse. So if you're
Oh, it's
interested in
probably-
how we got the current internet we're dealing with, make sure to click the video that's on screen.
That's crazy. There's a lot actually happening that I didn't even realize. Like clipper markets and all that stuff. I thought this was going to be about mainstream stuff, but this is actually more about like small little things. Well, anyways, this is the final list. We got Songbird, Benson Boone, The Weeknd, Post Malone after 2020, Love Island Reality TV, Calci, Polymarket, Stake, Gambling States, Macklemore, Timothy Chalamet, Pedro Pascal, Current Mr. Beast, Jenny, Cat's Eye, Billie Eilish, Heated Rivalry, and the actors BB Nas, I'm not saying his real name, Kick, the streaming platform, and Rakai. And there's probably others. But also, let's just say this. We'll say Neon. And we'll say any we already have Cake. It's just so annoying that I almost put it twice. Alright, final list. Let me know in the comments if I missed anybody. Let me know if anybody here you think isn't. And until next time.